The Pro Show is brought to you by Rockin' Media and our proprietary FlashHDR photo process, providing you with the best, most realistic photos of your property. See the difference at rockinmedia.com. Welcome to the Pro Show. Hi, I'm Rick Machle from Rockin' Media, and we have a great show for you today. We're talking about property disclosures and how important it is to get that right. We're also going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in the city. And finally, we have some awesome properties for sale. That's next on the Pro Show. Well, we have a great panel of 5 awesome agents up and down the Front Range from Coldwell Banker. And the first one to my left is Debbie Haining, and she's from the South Metro office, and Lori Delaney from up in North Metro. And then we have Shannon Pace. I want to call her Shannon Byerly because I knew her that way forever. Shannon Pace from the South Metro office as well, and Camelia Corre from Colorado Springs. And then we have somebody new here today. We actually have Elizabeth Nelson from the Boulder office. Elizabeth, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. I've been in business for about 10 years, all with Coldwell Banker, and I absolutely love helping guide my clients through the process of buying or selling real estate in, the Boulder area and beyond. So it's just been a lovely journey for me to be able to help people smoothly transition from one chapter to another.
Dogs, cats, pets, kids, any of the above, all of the above?
I have a Yorkie who is, she knows she's just adorable, and a Bichon Poodle who sort of worships her, and a lovely husband, and I have 2 adult children. My son is in Wisconsin putting things into space, and my daughter is on a beach working from remotely for PwC.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. And we have some new numbers this week from August, and we're going to start out up in the metro area and talk a little bit about what has happened. And this is actually a year-over-year comparison infographic from the Denver Metro Association of Realtors. And if you look here, you will see that the median close price is exactly the same as it was a year ago. So that's pretty healthy for this market. The closed homes is down about 2%. Not a big change there. The months of inventory continues to grow. We're at 42% above where we were, but we're still a healthy, it's like 3 months of inventory, which is pretty healthy. The sales volume is up about 4% from 2.55 billion to 2.56. Days on market has climbed quite a bit, up 57%, but it's still less than 30 days on market. Active listings also continues to grow. This is a year-over-year thing. As we sell a few less homes each month, then we go and find that obviously that number is going to grow. It's up 41%. New listings is up 7%. That means there are people going, it's time to get on the market. And then pending sales are down 7% from 4,079 to 3,805. So, Elizabeth, what are you seeing in your market up there in Boulder, since you're kind of Boulder, Superior, Broomfield area? Do these kind of track with what you're seeing, at least for August?
Well, I mean, Boulder's its own animal. I am seeing it's getting a little better. I don't have the exact stats, but we do see people emerging and offers going under contract a lot more quickly. And so it's very encouraging. Buyers are coming out of the woodwork. So homes are selling a little bit more quickly, if they are in show worthy and they've had all the marketing done, which of course you're helping me with.
So this is the days on market down in Colorado Springs are up about 28% to average is now 47 days on market. We also have a median list price is down a little bit. So it's down to 509,900. Great place down in the Springs area is a great place to find a home that's a little bit more affordable than the Denver metro area. Then we have the new listings is also about the same as last year, a little bit higher. And the sales inventory is up quite a bit from 2,000 to almost 3,000, so 46% increase year over year. So, Camelia, is that track with what you're seeing down there in the Springs?
Absolutely. Yes. Inventory is definitely on the rise. We have recently just seen the buyers coming out shopping, and the buyers really are wanting that move-in ready home, that stage that looks great. They're willing to write even full price offers, sometimes competing offers. But yeah, we still have more inventory than we have buyers, but the buyers have started coming out, which is very refreshing. We have a lot of new build growth in this particular market here. East, everything east, a lot of new construction east. Monument's getting quite a few. I think we're slated for another 3,000 homes in Monument. So new construction is pretty strong. But yes, those stats are about where we're at.
And Debbie, what's it like down in the southeast part of the metro area? Similar to what you're seeing on those stats?
It is very much similar. I am seeing for this time of year, there are more homes coming on the market than I think the average year over year. They are staying on a little longer. And to Camelia's point, if they're staged and they're in perfect shape, they look good, marketed well, they're going off the market a little faster. I'm also seeing people that overpriced their homes at the beginning are doing some price reductions. And that seems to be moving those on along.
And Lori, popping back up north, how about with you? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I really am seeing a lot of movement in the market, a lot more sellers wanting to list. And I'm seeing a lot of buyers out there this time of year. And I think like what I'm noticing is the ranches tend to fly off the shelves because there's a lot of baby boomers looking for homes. And as a matter of fact, this weekend I showed a ranch style home, and luckily we weren't up against anyone else. The pace of the market is much more manageable and pleasant for the buyer to purchase in. And we got it. We were a little bit above list because we didn't want to lose it, and these guys had been living in a basement of their children and their adult children. And so I am seeing the ranches that are updated are still they're still flying up the shelf in 2 to 4 days in some cases. I also had a listing that was a ranch and we didn't even make it through the weekend. So the location and the style of home is also important to consider.
And Shannon, obviously we're on September 11th, which, hearts and thoughts go out to all the people that lost loved ones on September 11th. What is it? 23 years ago now, something like that. But Shannon, I know you do a lot of stuff in downtown as well as South Metro. And of course, all these ladies pretty much do stuff, listings everywhere and have buyers everywhere. But I'm just talking about what they focus on a day-to-day basis. But given that we're September 11th, have you seen a change even from these numbers into September?
Yes. So, Rick, I had the opportunity to be at the Global Luxury event in Vail, Colorado this Sunday and Monday, and we got to speak with agents in Beverly Hills and in Miami. And I think we can all agree that September, it was probably at the end of August, where really things started to pick up. And these numbers that we have are kind of lagging. So we will at the end of next month, you guys will be able to see how much it really has changed. Our luxury market is actually the below 1.5 million is doing very well. When you go above 2 million, you really should anticipate 6 months on market is what these stats were showing across the Denver metro area. Our condo community in downtown Denver has had much more extended days on market. It is imperative that you have pricing and condition and really have those HOA docs that you guys had spoken about in a previous episode.
And I was just looking on Freddie Mac's website, and we're at 6.35 for a 30-year and 5.47 for a 15-year. So that's got to help. It's probably what's spurring some of the buyers to get out at this point. So that's really awesome. Well, we'll continue to talk about this. And of course, then by next week, these stats will even be a week older. So you can tell me why they're not applicable as we talk about more of the market next week. And I appreciate your feedback on it this week. And we're going to get a little bit smarter about mortgage with Nancy Alexander from Guaranteed Rate Affinity. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing well. So today is loan to value. And so the loan is how much you're taking out, I assume. And the value is the value of your property. But it's got to be more complex than that. So how does it work?
We start with, think of your loan to value as, start with 100, right? Start with your number at 100, saying, okay, you're 100% financed. And so if the house is, say, 500,000 and you're 100% financed, you would owe 500,000, right? So that would be 100% loan to value. Now that's not typical, and there's some loan programs that you can do that on, but again, not typical. So where we normally start with conventional money is 5% down. If you're putting 5% down, then that would put you at 95% loan to value, like you said, of the property. Okay. Right? If you're putting 10% down, then you're going 90% loan to value. Okay. 15% down, right? 85% loan to value. And why I go on 5% increments, I'll tell you in a minute. And then you put 20% down, right? You're now at 80% loan to value. Okay. And that's kind of the sweet spot, right?
Do different loan programs have different requirements?
They do. It's a great question. When you're a first-time home buyer, if you're going conventional money, Fannie and Freddie both have a loan program that will allow you to put 3% down, actually. And that 3%, only one borrower has to be that first-time home buyer to get into that program. It is income-based. So keep that in mind. When you're looking at FHA, minimum is 3.5% down, okay, or 96.5% loan to value. VA is one of those loans that you can actually do 100% financing on. USDA, you can do 100% financing on. So the loan to value is important because it affects your interest rate, right? The lender is looking at how much skin they have in the game versus how much skin you as the consumer have in the game. And that interest rate is based on that skin in the game.
Mm-hmm. So if you're taking more risk, they're going to give you a little better deal because they know that you're more likely to keep the house. And I kind of remember 15 years ago, they were doing 105% loan to value. And you were getting cash out mortgages without ever putting any money in. Those days are gone.
Truly, Rick, that was, what did we used to always say? Fog the mirror, we'll give you the loan.
Yeah, liar loans. Yeah, on top of that, yeah. And what could possibly go wrong? So
thank God that doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anything else somebody might need to know about the
I think next time what deals with loan to value is whether you have what your payment is made up of, right? And if you're putting less than 20% down, you and I have talked about this, then you end up with that fifth element to your payment, which is the mortgage insurance. So let's talk about that next time, yes?
Sounds good. If you want to find out how to calculate what's the best option for you, give Nancy a call. I'm sure she'd love to talk to you and help you get into your favorite home that you just found. Thanks, Nancy. So today we're going to talk about the seller's property disclosure. And this is a document that you really need to pay attention to because this is what you tell your buyers. And so, Shannon, Tell us a little bit about why this is important.
Well, when you hear from Dora what the number one complaint is that actually goes into arbitration, it is non-disclosure for sellers. So this is extremely important in order for you to avoid arbitration, as well as to be able to move forward into away from your home when you're selling it. So I can't say enough about making sure that you disclose what you know to be true, whether it's happened before or is currently happening now.
Camelia, what are some of the things that you constantly run into?
Well, I will say that this particular document, when we have sellers, we're coaching our sellers how to fill this document out. What I run into are sellers that don't pay attention to all the details that are in this disclosure. And the predecessor to this form some years back had a yes/no column, so that as you read your questions and filled it out, it was either a yes or a no. They changed the document and it's just now a yes. Is there anything that, are there any leaks that have happened in the past or current? And if the answer is no, there's no place to write no on this form. And so what I feel like I run into a lot are sellers are missing lines, missing questions, because it's not like there's an answer on every single line. And so I think the importance of clarity on this document, what I started having my clients do was write in the comment section, no if the answer is no. Click yes if it's yes, write no if it's no. That way they know, I know, and the buyers know that they have read every single line and have written something down on every single line. When you are a buyer and you receive this form from a seller and it has 3 things on it, your first thought is, why didn't they fill this form out? And so that's probably the biggest thing I run into when I'm working with a buyer and this form has nothing on it but 3 things. So sellers constantly forget to put the age of appliances, that's on there, the age of roof, your HOA dues. They just miss the importance of this. So excuse me, a good agent is going to walk them through this on how to fill it out, ask them to put something in every single line so that it's very thorough. What you do not want to have happen, to Shannon's point, is you don't want to have your sellers accidentally miss a line, not disclose something, and then after the sale, have the buyer come back to them for non-disclosure of something that they simply just missed. So that's probably the most important thing. And I would like to say one more thing about this disclosure when a seller is filling it out. There's a lot to be said about this form, but when a seller is filling out this form, there's usually, and not always, but at least 50% of the time, there's a husband and a wife or 2 partners, 2 people that actually own a property. When this document is filled out, couples tend to just have one partner fill it out, one person fill it out, when in fact 2 people own this home. If you remember or know something that happened to the house and your partner does not, it's important that you 2 come together to fill this out in the event one of you remembers and one of you forgets something that's important to disclose. This is something that happened to me years ago where the husband knew something about polybutylene pipe. The wife did not, but the wife filled out the form. And we were under contract and it came to our attention. They said it did not have polybutylene piping. Came to our attention during the inspection that there was polybutylene pipe. And when we called a plumber to come and give us an estimate and look at it, he said, oh, I was here a year ago and looked at the polybutylene pipe and gave the sellers an estimate. Well, the wife did not know that the seller had done that. So long story short, you can get yourself in trouble if you're not coming together to fill that out fully with all disclosure information.
Debbie, are there areas that you find that seem to be most problematic or either get forgotten or intentionally left off?
I think that people, when they're filling it out, sellers are concerned, well, I don't want to put on it that the water heater leaked. Or, because that could be a problem down the road. I don't want anybody to know about it. But it's important that you put everything on that form, no matter how small. Someone used to say to me, if you ask, do I need to add that? The answer is yes. And if it's on it at the beginning, then buyers can figure out how to work around it. Oh, I see it has this issue. No worries. We can fix that if we need to, but it's going to be found during the inspection. And you need to put as much information as you can. So going back to the water heater that was leaking, you just write in there, it was replaced in whenever, and it's fine now. So as much information as you can put on there is always better.
Lori, what are your thoughts on disclosures?
I agree with Debbie, and even to Camillea's point, I think it's always better to err on the side of over disclosing, because if, like Debbie said, if you don't disclose something because you think, oh, it's repaired, it's not important, and then they go and do the inspection and they will find it anyways, and then the buyer's going to think, oh, well, they didn't disclose this. What else are they hiding? And that does not bode well for the transaction. This stage of the game, this is closely related to the inspection, and it's really a critical phase in the transaction. So it is, and I always tell my sellers to really focus on each letter and read the questions on each letter. And so in each section, so you answer according to that, because I think sometimes they just look at the first one, and they're rushing through it, and then they think it's just A, but it's like, it goes all the way through and has different sections. And I always also tell them to put anything positive that you've done to the house. If you've replaced the HVAC, put down, I got a new furnace and AC in 2014, and it's not the original from 1973 or whatever. So that, I do always say that, because if they haven't had any problems, it does tell, unless they put no, like Camelia was saying on every line, it tells the buyer or the potential buyers very little about the house.
Shannon, if I think I know I have a crack in my foundation, I don't disclose it, and for some reason they had a lousy inspector and it doesn't come through on the inspection, but then they have a problem a year down the road. Is there any liability to me as a homeowner, even though I've sold it like a year ago? Or is this something like, well, buyer beware?
So great question, Rick. That would need to be addressed by an attorney.
Sure.
But in previous situations, I have seen that come back to sellers where they have been able to show that they didn't disclose and that they were aware of it. It happens quite a bit with basements when there's floods, and they think, oh, I don't want to talk about that. So it's important too, but it's also important to remember that you're not the expert. So sometimes realtors are bad about this, but we'll pretend all of a sudden we are sewer experts. and it's great to bring the professionals in. So if you have a crack and you're worried about it, talk to your agent, and they'll have somebody that can come in and give an actual opinion on it that's an expert. It's amazing if you can have someone come in, identify that it's actually not an issue, disclose it up front before you get that inspector that has a 10-page summary on the crack, because that's what typically we have happen. So it could be to your benefit just to get ahead of the game as well.
This is pretty comprehensive. It seems it's not something that you want to mess around with. Do you know, and I'm sure somebody on this panel knows, what happens if I tell Camelia that I have this crack? Does she have to disclose it or make sure it's on here? Or she's not like your attorney, correct? You're not like the attorney, right, Camelia?
If the consumer tells me something about the house that is a disclosure item and it needs to be disclosed to the consumer, I am obligated to tell what is wrong with the house if I actually do know about it. So yes, I know that there's a defect.
And Elizabeth, are there items on here that you see pop up a lot? Either they don't disclose them, or you're going, are you sure that you haven't had flooding or damage? I know, because you do a lot in a certain neighborhood. So is that something that you assist them with, is filling this out?
Most definitely. I encourage my clients to have a pre-inspection done prior to putting on the market. And so I have them initially fill it out without signing it, and then we, go back and make sure. But I will actually, I'm not allowed to fill it out, obviously, but I will walk them through because, is it now existing or is it ever existing? Every one of those sections is so different, as Gloria had mentioned earlier. And, definitely we have a lot of bentonite in our soil in Superior. So if there has been structural issues, they need to disclose that. If we've had hailstorms, even if they've replaced the roof, isn't ever existing. We have to, they have to disclose that, and then just mention in the comments when they had the roof replaced. And I always encourage them to say, well, is it a class 4? What type of roof? Is it a transferable? Fill it out as much as possible with only the known facts. Don't guess, but if you know it, please put it in there.
And Debbie, I see here you talk about environmental conditions where it's talking about hazmat on the property. That seems pretty important to disclose.
Absolutely. If it's something you definitely want to put it on there. But like she said, a lot of times you really don't know and you don't want to guess. So you either need to investigate it or put on there you don't know. Another thing that I want to mention about the seller's property disclosure is, especially if a home has been on the market for several months and you're the buyer, the seller's property disclosure that you're going to get once you go under contract is probably one that was written back when the house went on the market. So I always like to ask for a revised disclosure because you don't know what may have happened in the past 6 months, and people forget to redo that. So I think that's important.
Has anybody? Yeah, Shannon.
That brings up a great point, Debbie. So also, if you go under contract and you have an inspection, make sure to send back out the seller's property disclosure for the seller to update it. So as the buyer's agent, you want to ask for that updated, as Debbie mentioned. And as the selling agent, you need to make sure, because your clients need to know that they need to update it. So did the sewer come back bad? Yes, but we had it repaired on this date, and we have the video available. So it is very important we see a lot more properties come back on market, that those sellers' property disclosures are updated. And I think we got out of that habit because our homes flew off the market so quickly and didn't tend to come back on market. So that's something we're all getting used to doing again.
Well, this has been a great discussion about the property disclosure, and we have some more things that can trip you up as you go to getting to the finish line, and we'll talk about those next week and the weeks to come. Showing your property at its best online is one of the first of many important steps to getting your home sold. At Rocket Media, we provide you with the best quality photos taken by staff photographers, not contractors, who process your photos individually. We use our proprietary FlashHDR process, which combines the natural look of HDR with the color accuracy of Flash, along with properly exposed windows. Rocket Media's HDR process is clearly exceptional. Find out more and schedule online at rocketmedia.com. And now for the pros and cons of living downtown. And this could be downtown Denver, this could be downtown Colorado Springs, downtown Boulder, maybe even downtown Broomfield. So they all have a little bit of a different flavor. Shannon, why don't you start us off on what are some of the pros of living, say, in downtown Denver?
Oh, Denver's such a great city. We have restaurants that have come up from all around the world. Famous chefs have been out here. We have great boutiques, and the walkability is just absolutely fantastic. McGregor Square in particular, that is a wonderful area to live in and to be a part of. There's so much excitement with the Rockies games. There's concerts. It's really an incredible place to live.
And Elizabeth, how about like the Superior area and living in?
Wow, we are Yeah, we have a vibrant new downtown Superior that is growing. I have a client purchasing a home with a rooftop terrace that's going to have beautiful views of the Flatirons. But the downtown Superior area is it's brand new, and are just starting to have bakeries and yoga and all sorts of businesses popping up, and it's really got a great vibe and a lot of uh, togetherness. I mean, I just went to one of my clients had her complex had a bingo party, and so we played bingo, and then we went up to the rooftop terrace and barbecued. It was just fantastic. So there's a lot going on in the downtown Superior area, and we also have the downtown Boulder area, which next level. I mean, you're so close to the mountains. You have, the Buff games. You have Pearl Street, Michelin star restaurants. You have a coffee shop right around the corner almost everywhere. It's just fantastic.
Lori, I assume walkability is kind of a pro. And are there downtowns in your area? Or are you kind of burbia?
Burbia, but what I wanted to talk to was there's a really darling downtown Louisville that is one of the most popular places to live in the nation, actually, downtown Louisville. Then there's downtown Lafayette, which has great restaurants and is up and coming, just like Elizabeth has talked about. I think there's a ton, because there's a growth limit on Boulder, there are a ton of downtowns popping out outside of Boulder, like Lafayette, Louisville, Superior. Broomfield they have Broomfield days and they have parades, but it is more suburbia. They don't really have a defined downtown area. I would say that's more suburbia. Westminster, they have a whole brand new downtown area that, I would say walkability, sense of community, proximity to great restaurants, and access to freeway. I mean, there's so many pluses. There are also some pluses with the suburbia where you're a little removed, and if you like it quieter and you don't want to be near all the action, and you want to be closer to nature and nature paths and lakes, and then you tend to move to a Broomfield and I personally, I've seen a lot of trends in moving out of the city and into suburbia, but then it's such a personal thing. There's people that really like to be, they come from downtown Chicago and they want to be in the downtown area with a walkability like the downtown offers.
And Debbie, what are you seeing? Our tech center really isn't. It's not really a downtown, but what are some of the pros that you see with the living in a urban area?
Kind of the same things that everyone else has mentioned. Even in the tech center, you've got lots of wonderful restaurants, but you still have the trails and some very good paths that you can take your dogs for walks, which everybody seems to like out here. There's a lot of wonderful shops, businesses. So some people like to work and live in the same area so that they can walk to work, and there's a lot of that in the tech center area.
And you get that recreation right up close. So as opposed to having to drive as much, I always think when I came up with this, I was thinking downtown Denver, but you're right. There's so many downtowns now. Camelia, what is it like down in Colorado Springs? What's the downtown like there? What are the pros down there?
Well, for anybody who hasn't been to Colorado Springs in the last 5-10 years, it has changed immensely. So we have a whole new redevelopment of our downtown. We brought our Switchbacks soccer team. There's a big, beautiful stadium that was built right downtown, right off the main exit. And we have concerts there as well as the soccer game. We did get the Olympic Museum, Colorado Springs, home to the Olympics the Olympic Museum. So I think it was a $2 billion. I can't remember how much it was, but they finished that several years back. So that's in our downtown. Well, I think a lot of the big developers of our city had a vision for making our downtown beautiful and fun. And so it is great. There are a lot of new businesses, new buildings, growth. We've got townhome condos, condo projects everywhere in our downtown, a lot of restaurants. So they have really changed what downtown looks like. Beautiful parks, walkability. The great thing about Colorado Springs is you are not far from the mountains. When you are in our downtown, if you live in the historic area or just surrounding, you're just minutes from the mountains. You can go right up Highway 24 up into the mountains. But the foothills offer so much recreation. Garden of the Gods is just a few minutes away. So we have a strategically located downtown, and it is beautiful, and it's a great place to live, which is a great place to visit. I live 20 minutes from downtown on the farthest north end of the El Paso County that you can be, and I can get there in 20 minutes. So it's easily accessible to people who live in the suburban areas. And if you live in the downtown, you've got just amazing fun things to do. So, and it's beautiful now. It's really fun when your downtown gets a facelift. So I love our downtown.
Well, so this is pros and cons, and so they don't think you work for the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to talk about the cons of living in downtown. So, we want to give everybody the straight scoop. So, Debbie, what are some of the cons?
Parking can be an issue. If somebody doesn't like a lot of people walking around or something like that, I suppose that could be an issue. Really, I don't have a lot of cons.
Oh, so you do work for the Chamber.
I do.
Shannon, what about you? What are some of the things that you think could be better? Let's call it.
One thing that I wanted to mention as a pro too is that a lot of my luxury clients are really happy about the opportunities to live both in DTC in the Landmark area for private jet access, as well as we have JSX in Broomfield now that's doing a kind of semi-private experience. So those have really come through with our luxury clients. They've been very excited about that. While they still love downtown, there's some other areas that they can go to. Con-wise, so I think we can all say that sometimes in the news we hear about crime, right? Well, any city has crime. Denver also has crime too. So you need to be aware of your surroundings and just make sure that you have home security. I would recommend that to my clients in pretty much anywhere. Crime can happen wherever you're at, but it does happen a little bit more in our downtown areas. So just be aware of that before making any decisions, and talk with the local police departments if you're concerned. They're the experts.
And Lori, you don't really have as much parking issues as like downtown Denver, correct? Where you're at?
Yeah, but what I would say, well, I mean, I would speak to downtown as far as the cons. While it has been improving, because I know we all just had the Coldwell Banker sponsored Rockies game. None of us like to talk about it, but the homeless problem in the downtown Denver area is definitely improving, but is a consideration, as well as the crime. We're seeing that even, in some of these smaller downtown areas, and crime, but parking is not, I would say it's more of a problem like in Boulder proper and Denver proper, more than like these outer downtown areas, for sure.
Okay.
And Camelia, anything? I know you seem to be in love with Colorado Springs, which is awesome. Do you have the homeless problem down there as well?
Yes. So the homeless issue in Colorado Springs has been something that's been on the forefront of the conversation of growth and making this keeping this as a great place to live. Colorado Springs was voted number one many years in a row as one of the best places to live. And we're still in the top. I think we're still in the top 5. So we've had just a great following of people who love this town and want to keep making it great. And addressing homelessness is an issue. We have great resources and nonprofits that are here to help the homeless situation. So I see it getting better. I think we went through a season where it wasn't so good. And so we made some changes, and there are places for the homeless people to eat, to sleep. So I think we're addressing that very well here. None of us like to see homeless. You feel bad for the people who are in that situation. You want to provide a solution. So I feel like Colorado Springs has done a really great job of providing those options.
And Elizabeth, how about up in the Boulder area? Cons.
Well, first talk about Superior.
Sure.
Superior is, we do have more of a parking issue, a very narrow main street. And it's a choice for some people because you don't have a yard in most cases. There are very few properties that have a yard. So there is a dog park and there are amazing trails nearby. So you can get out, but you don't have your own like fenced in yard in that area. So, but it's got so much else to offer. Boulder, you have a little bit more traffic during game day, and you do have the homeless issue as well. It's very much more prevalent there than like in Superior, but there's so much more to love about it. So,
well,
I think the pros outweigh the cons.
Well, being one who lives in the mountains, I know every time I stay in the city, it's the fire engines and the police cars that it's like, oh my gosh,
Energy.
Nice.
that you're hearing the sirens a lot. That, if we hear a siren up here, it's like, oh my gosh, the place must be on fire, because we just don't get them. So I assume city noise would probably be a con as well. If you want total peace and quiet, light pollution, if you'd like to see the stars, probably isn't the best in the cities. Those are just a couple that I have in mind. But any others that you see as cons? Anybody?
I just wanted to say that it's kind of been talked about just a little bit here, but every person who's looking to buy a home, move to a new city, has very specific parameters. And there are people who want the hustle and bustle of a downtown, and there are people who want the quiet and solitude of the mountains. And that's the one thing I absolutely love about real estate, is that you get to, your clients will create a picture of what they are wanting, and we get to go help find that. So, for someone who loves the downtown life, they're going to be okay with the noise, and, they're going to go to the mountains to see the stars, right? And so I really like honoring that as buyers come to the market and paint a picture of what they're looking for. And there are definitely pros and cons to all places, but boy, when you love downtown life, you're willing to put up with all those things, parking and homeless and things like that. When you love the mountains, you want to drive a little ways to get to the grocery store, right? So I just love how all of our buyers get the opportunity to choose, whether it's the city, suburbia, mountains. That's one of the really great things about real estate that I absolutely love.
It seems like it would be nice if you could do a try before you buy. I know it doesn't happen, but maybe staying in a home.
Short-term rentals.
Yeah, find a short-term. Shannon?
I think we all have to remember too is that some of our maybe cons that we have, maybe you're coming from a different state and this city is completely different, and that con is kind of gone from what you're used to. Or maybe this is like Camilla said, it's what you don't care about having some of the parking issues because you're just so excited that you can walk to the play. So I think we dial in with our buyers and find out their perfect image and then go from there.
And of course, if you're coming from New York or Chicago or LA, none of ours are cities. Right. As far as any of what we're talking about here are cons. So
or Miami.
Or Miami, exactly. Lori?
It's really important to listen and ask a tremendous amount of questions, because I've had buyers before that they think they want to do maybe the opposite of where they've come from. And you're right. It's like unless they're prepared to rent for a year or whatever and try things out, they can't like try it out for a short-term thing. So I just find it being very, very helpful to ask a lot of questions that maybe they hadn't considered before. And then you hopefully get them into the right place for their needs and their desires.
So buyers need to be honest with you as to what they want, but they may not even know what they want. And I think
Exactly.
I think the Airbnb is a great idea. Find one that's close to where you want to live and try it out for a couple of days and see whether it's too noisy, too quiet. Because I know a lot of people are like, I can't sleep, it's too quiet. And so it's the exact opposite of me. If it's noisy, I can't sleep. So everybody has their own preferences. So be honest with these ladies when you're talking to them about what you really want to do. And I'm sure they'll help drill down on getting you to the perfect location for you. And what's great is we have lots of options, from city to suburbia to the mountains. And maybe we'll talk about suburbia next week. And joining us this week, like every week, is Greg Batchelor from Real Property Management. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Rick, how are you?
I'm doing great. So today I want to talk about timing. What's the best time to put your house on the market to lease, or maybe it's a condo? I assume it's different throughout the year, just like the regular real estate market, but is that actually correct?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's a great question. So the best time in the rental industry, and that's the Front Range here in Colorado, and that's across the country, the best time is Memorial Day to Labor Day. For whatever reason, renters tend to make their moves, changes, switch, new school districts, et cetera, during the summertime. And so anytime between end of May, early part of September, that is absolutely prime time. That is when demand is at its peak. That is when rental prices are at their peak. That's when we have the absolute most potential renters out there looking at properties. The contrast to that is then mid-November to mid-February. As you might imagine, people are not exactly thinking about moving unless they have to. When you've got the holidays, you've got Thanksgiving, you've got Christmas and Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and New Year's and any blend of holidays around that time that really extend from pre-Thanksgiving to around Valentine's Day. People are not moving unless they have to. If you've just taken a new job here in Denver and you are moving from Wichita, Kansas on the 20th of December, then you're moving on the 20th of December. But it's not exactly a window where you're just going to naturally want to move on the 20th of December. You've got a few other things going on. So that window between mid-November and mid-February, that is absolutely the slowest. And then obviously everything else fits in between.
And of course, midwinter not only being holidays, but you also then are trying to move with lots of snow here in Colorado, which isn't a whole lot of fun either. And of course, most of the people that you're representing and the tenants, they're looking at annual. So once they get on that annual loop, it probably stays about the same, right?
Which it does. Yep. One of the things that we do for obviously folks that are in that summertime loop, if you will, we try to just keep them in that loop. It's the best window. That's when they naturally want to migrate. If they're going to migrate, go to a different property, et cetera. By the same token, between mid-November and mid-February, we push to sign a lot of 15 and 18-month leases, which is different than the typical 12-month lease that we're signing June after June after June, only from the standpoint of we don't want to have the landlords have to be in that same tough cycle again. And if we can move it to spring or summer, all the better. And again, as you mentioned earlier, most tenants, they don't want to be moving during the middle of a blizzard anyway.
So if somebody is looking and they just came into town, it's now mid-November, and they're looking for a place, do they have more bargaining power, do you see? Or the lease rates are just what they are? And because, the landlord might figure they might be vacant until April.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. They definitely have more bargaining power at that point in the ballgame, because when you hit that stage of the year, there's just not as much demand out there. There's not as many prospective renters waiting to fill these properties. And so landlords have to get very aggressive, and it definitely does shift the bargaining power over to the tenants.
You might even be able to get a 15 or 18-month lease out of them, which then puts them at that lower rate. But then when you renew, you're back in that summer season, so they might be able to get a better deal as well. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
And I did not think that rents were elastic in their pricing. And they are
very elastic.
It's a supply and demand, just like everything else, it sounds like.
Sure is. Yep, absolutely the case.
And we have a lot of other things like additional supply coming online too, right? With just in general, with a lot of condos being completed at this point, right?
That is correct. A lot of apartments out there, some new condo units, new build homes, townhomes, et cetera. It's all added to the inventory pool.
Well, that helps with those people looking to rent, so they can get. So next week, let's talk about what kind of services you should expect from somebody who does property management, and specifically from Real Property Management. How's that sound?
I love it. Looking forward to it already.
All right, we'll see you next week. So the first home we're going to talk about today is Via Linda in Manitou Springs. This is Camelia's listing. Tell us about this home, Camelia.
All right. This is a beautiful home that was built in 1977, original owners. It is not too big, not too small. It's 2886 square feet. Technically, it has 4 levels, but they're very, as you can see with the stairs, very short levels. But the most amazing thing about this house, it borders Garden of the Gods. And that rock that you're seeing there is one of the garden sandstone rocks. It sits outside the home and inside the home as well. So beautifully constructed, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath. It does have a 2-car carport. Sits at the end of a cul-de-sac, and you literally walk right on the trail at the end of the cul-de-sac right into the Garden of the Gods Park. So very iconic, views out every single window. The home has been updated over the years, and the decks are stunning, beautifully redone decks. Like I said, views from the southern mountain range all the way up into Garden of the Gods. So you cannot see the Garden of the Gods rocks, like the Kissing Camels rocks, but you can see all the mountains. Pikes Peak is a gorgeous view as well. So anyway, looking for that right buyer.
This home is amazing. Here's that sandstone rock that goes right into the foyer. What a fun house to photograph. It was great to be able to photograph this home. And if you're interested in seeing this home in person, please give Camelia a call. And our next home that we want to show that's for sale is down in the Wash Park area. This is one that Shannon is listing. Tell us about this home, Shannon.
Great. Well, this just went live while I was on the podcast. It is a lovely Dutch colonial home in West Wash Park. It has 2 beds, 2 baths, but can easily be converted into 3 beds by finishing the unfinished basement, as well as add additional bath down there, or pop the top into the attic area and create your own space up there as well. As you can see, it has been lovely maintained and updated. It's got a gorgeous oasis of a backyard with a 2-car garage, which is so hard to find in West Wash Park, and it's oversized composite decking. We have outdoor lighting that's custom, but they kept the character of the home of the 1900s. This is an incredible opportunity to own a home for under $800,000, with just being able to be right around the corner from Wash Park.
I was going to say something under 800,000 near Wash Park. That's amazing. So
yes, we're expecting a lot of activities. So make sure to reach out if you have some interest.
If you want to see this, definitely. Give Shannon a call if you want to see this home. Thanks, Shannon. And now we're heading up north to Broomfield. Lori, you've got a home up there, and tell us about this home.
Yeah, so this is a lovely 2-bedroom, 2-bath ranch-style home tucked in Machle Landing, which is a very desirable suburban neighborhood within Broomfield, excellent school district. This actually has an office in addition to the 2-bedroom, gourmet kitchen, primary suite on corner lot with oversized side-load 2-car garage. And it has a complete, it's 1808 square feet on the main level above grade, but it has a complete full basement for you waiting like a blank canvas to do whatever you want for the basement. And this wonderful home actually went under contract in 2 days from listing it, but we are accepting backups. Yep, there we go. That's it.
And you actually have another one that's coming on the market very shortly in the next day or so. Tell us a little bit about that. We don't even have the pictures done. We're doing that later today.
Yes, this one is a lovely, it's immaculate, 2-story, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, semi-custom executive home. It's tucked away on a quiet cul-de-sac in Oak Ridge Estates, which is a pocket neighborhood in Arvada. It's going to be listed for $1,021,000 and showing start tomorrow. So it goes active. We're having it photographed today, and come out and see it. Oh, the open house will be Saturday from 11 to 1.
And we might go into this a little more detail next week when we have other pictures. But it might be under contract by then. Thanks, Lori. And now we head south to Castle Rock, and Debbie Haining has a great home down in Castle Rock. Tell us about this home.
I absolutely love this home. It's in the Escavera neighborhood, which doesn't have a lot of homes coming up on the market. It's a 6-bedroom home, and it was built in 2003, but it's absolutely magnificent. When you get to the backyard, you'll see that it's very private. It's very quiet. There is open space behind, and it's kind of got a mountain feel. So even though it's close to the city, it feels mountain. It's in an executive neighborhood. It is a semi-custom home as well. I think you're going to absolutely love this home. We've got it listed for $935,000, which is a little below, but we wanted to get a lot of traffic in there. So
looks like it has a huge primary suite.
It does. It's got a beautiful primary suite and finished basement.
Secondary bedrooms are pretty big as well.
They are. I mean, it's just a phenomenal house.
Well, that's great. This is a great home. If you want to see it, give Debbie a call. Thanks, Debbie. And our last home that we're going to talk about today is in the Denver area, and this is Elizabeth's. Tell us a little bit about this home.
I was delighted to be able to list this home. It is in such immaculate condition. 4-bedroom, 4-bath, updates throughout the home. Look at the gorgeous flooring. The kitchen's been beautifully updated. I have virtually staged some of the pictures so that people can visualize. This house is in a neighborhood that is close to Highline Canal. It's close to the Cherry Creek as well, trails and such. What I love most about, my clients love most about this home is that it's low maintenance living. The HOA covers so much. They will, do the snow removal up to the door and the driveway. They will take care of the mowing in the front yard. They even blow out the sprinkler system at the end of the year. All of this, and you have 3,500 square feet finished. The basement has a gorgeous gas fireplace, 2 large rooms that you could do almost anything with, as well as a 3-quarter bath in the basement. So this house is delightful, and it's under contract already after just 2 days of showings.
But you are accepting backups, aren't you?
We are accepting backups, and taking a look at just the backyard and how very private it is, but also there's no mowing. There's a sprinkler system, drip system for the flowers and such. But this home is one of those, you can live there, but not have to put so much effort. So if you are going out of town, everything's taken care of on the outside. No one will know you're gone.
Well, this is an awesome home, and if you want to talk to Elizabeth about possibly putting in a second offer, just in case something happens to the first one, give her a call, and I'm sure she'd love to talk to you and maybe even show you something else.
I would love to, yes.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, this has been a great discussion. I appreciate all of you being here today and being on the show. These ladies have a lot of information in it, and we can't nearly cover all of it in this hour time frame. But if you want to get a hold of any of them, here's their contact information. And hopefully, if you've got other questions, check on theproshow.com. And you can also listen to The Pro Show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. And I appreciate your time again this week. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.